So you that's watching this right now, I know either yourself or someone that you know that when the weekend comes around, their mind defaults to drinking. Because we feel like drinking and being inebriated in general allows us to forget about any life stresses that we're dealing with, whether it's, personal stress, relationship stress, work stress. Drinking is an outlet to allow us to forget about all these things for a night or two. But when we do this, right? Like we decide to drink because we feel like that brings us relaxation. When it is time to get back to work, when it is time to operate on a high efficiency, you're not able to do that because you'll wake up the next day, you're possibly hungover, you're depressed because alcohol is a depressant. You don't have the motivational levels that you need to get the work that it is you want done on a high level. And you ultimately don't accomplish as much as you want to. You obviously don't accomplish nearly as much as you could if you were not drinking the night before. So it's hindering our life, right? Like you're living a pernicious lifestyle when you decide to drink every single weekend. So I was a critic of this as well too, right? Like not a critic, but I was someone that was dealing with this myself a year ago. And I realized that I was always slow when it came to get back to work on Monday. And I'm drinking on Saturday night and it's affecting me on Monday. And I realized that this is not something that I want to continuously keep doing. So I was trying to figure out other ways to become more efficient in my relaxation. And there's this 6 techniques that I want to share with you guys today that I have all tried and have been very beneficial to my life in how to relax. But then when it's time to get back to work, I am fully operating on a high level to get what I need to get done. And there's a commonality amongst all 6 of these traits that are all 6 of these ways that I will explain at the end of the video. So the first one is just watching a Netflix show or movie. I'm using Netflix as a name brand, but any streaming service, right? I think that's the most effective way to relax. It's the easiest way to do. The second thing is to explore something new, whether maybe you want to check out this museum. There's a historical landmark you want to check out. There's a new hike that you haven't experienced yet, right? Like just explore something new, okay? The third thing is reading a book. It doesn't have to be an educational book. It could be anything you want to read. Fictional, fantasy, sci-fi, whatever your interest is, reading a book is very effective. The fourth way is playing a board game, right? So this obviously typically will require friends. I'm assuming you have some friends. Play a game that typically takes like at least a few hours to play. So I would say if you guys would play Catan, that would be a good one, or Monopoly. I personally love Codenames. You can play that for hours. The games end relatively quickly, but you could play that at least for an hour or two and you get your fix. So I love that. The fifth way to relax is FaceTiming a friend. FaceTime a friend you haven't talked to in a long time. Specifically someone that you haven't kept in touch with for some time, because that will allow you to really open up to this person and, talk about things you haven't, there's so much to catch up on, right? So the conversation and dialogue will last at least 45 minutes to an hour if you're really close with that person. So I find that very effective. And then the last method is pursue your hobby. Don't tell me, and if you don't have hobbies, this is the time to start thinking about it. There's all something we're all innately interested in. Like I love music, right? So making music is something that I find very relaxing to me because it's fun, it's enjoyable. It doesn't feel like work. Maybe for you it's painting. Maybe it's cooking, like do whatever it is that's just a hobby that has nothing to do with anything that you do on a day-to-day basis with your work and, anything else of that nature. So I listed out all 6 of these techniques, right? And you're probably all wondering, what's the commonality amongst all of these? So what I have noticed is when I'm able to immerse myself in every one of these activities or these methods that I've listed to you guys, because it requires your mind, your body, and your spirit to all align and be engaged in what you're doing. So you're probably wondering what that means. So think about it. Like when you watch a show, right? Like you're watching a Netflix show or a movie. It If you're watching a movie, it's at least probably what, an hour and a half at the minimum. If you're watching a show that you truly love, I'm going to say it's at minimum 30 minutes, but could go up to an hour, right? And you probably want to binge it. You probably want to watch at least a few episodes because you're enjoying it. And there's this transitional period that your body, mind, and spirit go through. It takes about 10, 15 minutes to forget about what it is that you were doing. So maybe you were just working on something, right? You're doing some work, you're stressed about it. And then all of a sudden you move your focus over to the show. It takes about like 5, 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes for your mind to get absorbed in what you're doing. And then you get immersed, right? And now your mind is now you're unwinding, right? Now you're completely unwinding. Whereas when you're drinking, for example, and this is just the first example I'm giving you, right, with the Netflix, but when you're drinking, your body, mind, and spirit are not all aligned. Because your thoughts are array, you're not thinking rationally, you're we talk about drunk decisions, right? There's a reason for that term. You're not aligned with anything in your mind. So you're not actually relaxing. Like nothing is in sync internally. So externally, you're not going to feel any more relaxed after the fact. Okay. So that's that. The second thing, right? Exploring something new. When you're exploring something new, you're training your mind to focus on whatever it is that you're doing, right? So if you're like going to a museum that you never experienced before, and you're reading, all about the museum and what it has to offer and what it's about, what's the background, like you have to focus to understand what that museum is all about, right? So, and you're in that environment, right? Like you're in that building, and so your whole mind, body, and spirit gets immersed into that, and you really enjoy it, and you learn something new, right? That's always a fun way to unwind as well, when you're learning something new. And then the next thing, right? What was the next one I said? I said playing a board game. Yeah, playing a board game, right? So you have to learn the game, right? You have people with you that you're playing this game with that also enjoy this game, and you guys are just all having a great time, focused on trying to win the game, right? And you have to understand how the game is played in order to enjoy it the most, right? So that requires focus, right? So then you become immersed when you're focused. And then if you play for like an hour or two, right? Like you need some time for your mind to really adjust into whatever it is that you're doing. Allow an hour or two of playing, and you'll see yourself feel relaxed after you're done playing, right? Like you'll feel like, okay, I really disconnected my mind from anything that was stressing me out. Now, now that I've got my fix, when it's time to get back to work, I'm ready to get back to work. Same thing, next thing, reading a book. I feel like that's self-explanatory, especially if you're someone that likes to read fiction and fantasy books. Just let your mind just not wander, but focus on whatever it is that you're reading, but just really just dive in, immerse into that. Envision what you're reading, right? I find that to be very helpful. That will allow you to get immersed. You have to focus on the words that you're reading. As you can keep saying, I'm saying focus here a lot. And then next thing, FaceTiming a friend. You have to be immersed in the conversation, especially with someone that you haven't talked to for a while. It also helps with your speaking skills, especially with someone that you haven't talked to for a long period of time. Ask questions. And then, if people ask you questions, how do you answer that in a succinct manner that keeps the person engaged and interesting, or makes you sound interesting, right? And you'll notice your mind, body, spirit focused into whatever the conversation is, right? You'll be immersed into that. It's a very effective way. And the last one, right? Like having a hobby, that's self-explanatory. I feel like I need to explain that much, because if you have a hobby and you obviously enjoy it, so you're naturally going to be immersed into that. So what you'll notice, right? And I said a lot of things here, but I promise you that when you do these things, these 6 techniques, you will come back to your work significantly more energized and ready to go, because you completely just disregarded any stresses, any work that you had going on in your life, because you were able to fully immerse into these 6 different activities that required you to focus your full attention on. And you also learn something new in the process. And, I hope you guys understand what I'm saying here, because this page is all about, my YouTube is all about bulletproofing your mind. to maximize what life has to offer you. And when you're constantly just going out and drinking, right? Constantly going out and just looking for the next time to get lit, right? You're not going to be able to maximize what life has to offer you. There's so many more effective ways to do this, and I found these the most beneficial. So if you agree as well, like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend that's constantly looking to drink. These 6 techniques will help you. And I would love to hear you guys tell me what you guys like. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.